What is up, guys? Greed and Pride here with a brand new microphone. I ordered this microphone 2 days ago. Took me 2 days to get this microphone. 2 days! No, but I'm really happy about it. I'm about to get a little sappy here, so if you're a heartless monster, go ahead and skip ahead. But this microphone, it really means a lot to me. It's not expensive or fancy or anything, but I had a very strict childhood growing up, and it was very goal oriented, go to college, get a career, that kind of stuff. So this microphone's like the first purchase for something a little more artsy, a little more personal. It's something that like I just want to do for fun. It's like a passion, and this microphone's like the first big step in doing like a passion that isn't really career or goal oriented. So with that out of the way, let's crush some people's hopes and dreams with Dimir Brawl. We're going to take a quick look at this before we play it. It's nothing too crazy. So we have Ashiok as the commander. And then Secret Keeper, huge. Especially Secret Keeper with Unsummon. That's 8 cards milled. And if you have Drowned Secrets down, that's like 12 cards milled, I believe. More than that, honestly. So Secret Keeper, big addition to this. So tiny. It's good for early aggressive decks. Not so great late game. We have a lot of black removal. Frogify and Transformation. Really big for taking out creature commanders. There's a lot of anti-creature commander in this format. It's kind of rough on creature commanders. Down here, the black is just mostly for removal. Drown in the Lot, great card. Terrible with Ashiok. I almost might have to take it out of the deck because that's such a bad interaction with Ashiok since he exiles their entire graveyard. Down here, just more removal. Jason here, in case we have to mill ourselves. I've won against many petitioner decks because I will just let them mill me out and then I'll slam Jace, and it's pretty funny. Besides that, he's just good card draw and good mill. And we have a Ritual Soot as our top end, and that is to keep aggro decks at bay. So let's get out there and let's eat some dreams. Future Greed and Pride here, coming at you. I re-recorded the audio for these matches using my new microphone, so it would be a lot crisper and cleaner. This first match I absolutely love because it shows a really good interaction with the deck and some really bad interactions with the deck. The deck kind of hates itself sometimes, and it kind of fights against itself. So this is a good showing of it fighting against itself. We're going against Golgari first, coming up with a mono blue hand. I'm not too worried about having no black mana. We get a draw from Fibblepup and Ashiok. You can use all blue on Ashiok anyway. Opponent playing Gurok. I'm just going to Fibblepup here. I don't believe there's anything I need to negate on 3. Nothing that would be too game ending. I end up getting the black mana, which is perfect. The opponent taking it slow. That's exactly what we want with this deck. I just go ahead and slam Ashiok right at the beginning. Now I have 2 cards in my hand, So Tiny and Drown in the Loch, and they absolutely work against Ashiok, and Ashiok works against them. They both rely on how many cards is in the opponent's graveyard, and the opponent's always going to have 0 because I'm always going to exile them with Ashiok. So I'm going to turn that into a 1/1. I did that to stop the ramp, so prevent him from getting up to Garrock too soon. I wasn't too concerned about the Death Touch or the Lifelink. Now I hold open Negate and I hold open So Tiny. I don't attack because I want to protect Ashiok. A Midnight Reaper comes down. I don't understand why he doesn't attack here, because he could trade with Fibblefup and he would get a card, but he or she decides not to. I'm thinking about So Tiny, but I decide to hold it one more. So then we get a Thief of Sanity, big time mill card. We can protect it with a negate. Not really Drown the Lock again. They're never going to have cards in their graveyard. So Drown the Lock's borderline dead when Ashiok's on the field. I keep Fibblefoot back for a blocker. Leafkin Druid comes down. He swings in here. Oh, first he Lotus Fields. Yeah, that's right. A weird addition for Golgari for Lotus Field, but he's thinking about it. I'm thinking about So Tiny. There he goes. Opponent swings in. I'm going to block with the Thief. A little risky. I almost didn't do it because Thief is so important to the mill strategy. But I had So Tiny in case anything happened. So I decide to So Tiny the Reaper here. Just keep on curve. Keep using my mana. Vampire the Dire Moon. Very good blocker. So I decide, here's an argument. I decide to exile more cards. He's playing Golgari, which means he might have graveyard interaction. So I choose to exile things from his graveyard. I could have Ashiok first, which would put cards into his graveyard, which means Drown the Lock would be better. But again, graveyard interaction's a possibility. I go with the absolutely exile everything route. Could have been better to keep Drown the Lock open with some cards in the graveyard. You never know. Really just preference at that time. Here's the perfect interaction. Everybody forgets this. We oops at the same time. Everybody forgets you can't look in your deck. Fabled Passage always gets got. Ashiok comes down 3. Fabled Passage usually comes down on 4 because they want it untapped, and they always just end up sacrificing their land because they always forget. Casualties of War, I say nah. No casualties for you. I like my black mana. Opponent gives me a nice and scoops it up. I don't blame them. So we weren't doing a huge mill yet, but we were kind of controlling the game out. He could have probably got back into it with Garrock, but chose not to. So we're looking for our next game here. If I recall right, it is. Is it has a strong game against us. They can counter our early game stuff, burn us out. It's a strong deck. So this is a great hand. Borderline perfect against a non-aggro deck. A little slow if it was aggro, but since it's basically perfect. Do the command tower first. Go straight into the Signet. The more mana control decks have, the better. I keep Unsummon open. I decide to unsummon this field as a tempo play. Waste their mana. I just want to set up mostly. So the more mana they use setting up, the easier it is for me to set up. I get Ashiok out on curve. Start milling. I mill Kefnut. Great mill, because I really can't do anything against Kefnut. I wonder what they're going to do on their turn. They take a turn off to do some ramp, which is perfect. If you're going against mill, taking a turn off really hurts because they're going to be milling you and you're not going to be pressuring them. So he just completely takes the whole turn off just to do some setup, which lets me spark double Ashiok. 8 cards a turn, and the opponent sees what happens. You can't really come back from being milled 8 cards a turn. That is a quick clock. So now we're on to our third and final match. It's going to be against our favorite deck in the world. 5-color Field of the Dead. Mill has this is a pretty decent matchup for us because it's a very slow deck. And the slower the deck, the better for Mill because you can really start hitting their good cards once you get your Mill tools online. And if you mill Field of the Dead, that's basically their whole strategy. So he starts off tapped. I'm thinking about doing the Vampire, but I decide to keep Unsummon open instead. Since I know decks like this tend to be more control-y and less aggro-y, I think the Unsummon is a little better than the 1/1 blocker. Elvish Reclaimer, for those that don't know, Elvish Reclaimer searches your deck for a land of your choosing, so it could get Field of the Dead, so I have to unsummon that. And then I immediately Thought Erase it. His hand is pretty good in general, pretty bad against me. Nothing else really affects my deck. I'm going to get rid of Eye Collector here. He has the Grazer. The Grazer's always going to be able to block it. Plus he has some anti-creature cards, so having a creature there, just a double whammy of not being great. He plays the Grazer. With his hand, it's going to be hard for him to interact with our board at all. It's very anti-creature, and we play very little creatures. So I go straight for the Ashiok. Start milling. Also, Field of the Dead has a lot of get cards out of your deck kind of cards, and Ashiok completely shuts that down, which I'm not sure the opponent realizes or not. I didn't realize it until afterwards, but opponent, I can see the opponent's whole hand. It's all anti-creature stuff. I get a murder. Nothing really to murder. I decide to hold up Disdainful Stroke and a Disfigure. So I send it over to the opponent. What if you wanted to cast Golos? And God said, I'm going to cut this piece of paper in half. Nope. Opponent scoops it up out of frustration. Thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you had a lot of fun watching it. Thank you.